Sometimes I get tired, you know. I'm going to be honest, after the first game last week, which was obviously from Molyneux, Wolverhampton versus Spurs, I didn't actually want to watch another game that weekend because I was that disappointed with what happened. I just thought, you know what, bun the rest of the week, bun the rest of the games. I could not be bothered. And then obviously international break hit, so it gave me another week to just stew on it and think about it. But I have to do a video. We'll obviously start with that Wolves game last week where we were coasting a little bit too much. We got absolutely peppered pretty much after the goal went in the 3rd minute. Brennan Johnson opened up the scoring for us. We obviously lost the game 2-1, but it's the way we lost the game. I don't think we were bad. We weren't terrible, but there weren't many breakthroughs, different phases in the midfield. We weren't winning our battles. We weren't holding the ball up top either. So every time we get the ball forward, as soon as Wolves get back into possession, we're on sort of defence mode all game, and we can't defend. Most of our spine's been taken out. Romero obviously suspended, Udogie suspended, Van de Ven injured. Bissouma got himself another yellow card, so he's going to be missing this weekend as well. I've heard Sarr has now picked up an injury. It's just all a bit long. Phillips has picked up another injury as well, so he could be out for a month or two. It's all just a bit long at the moment, to be quite honest. But we lost the game 2-1. The game changed properly when Sarabia came onto the pitch because he got the goal and then obviously set up Lamina for the Wolverhampton winner. Both goals in the 91st and in like the 96th minute, I think it was. I was sick. Sickening. To be in front all game and then obviously to, throw it away in the last couple of minutes. It felt like Antonio Conte regime all over again. But we move. Big game this weekend for us. We need to get back to winning ways. We're now 2 on the spin with a loss. And we're playing a very, very informed Aston Villa, which I'll obviously get to a bit later on. The rest of the weekend's fixtures I'll go into. I didn't really see any games, including the Super Sunday one between Chelsea and Man City, so I am going to whiz right through it. Man United versus Luton Town at Old Trafford. United ended up winning the game 1-0 when it could and should have been a different story. Luton Town, I think, were actually unlucky to come out of that game with less than a point. As I thought they played really well. Man United just coasted, managed to sort of nick a goal and then kind of just meandered their way to the final whistle. I don't see good things happening this weekend for Man United either, if I'm being honest. We'll obviously get into their game a bit later on, but I think they got lucky last week against a very good and very game Luton Town. But Man United picking up 3 points last week from Old Trafford. On to the Emirates. That was Arsenal 3, Burnley 1. Good game from Burnley, actually. I thought Burnley played quite well from what I saw, stats-wise anyway. I think they even pegged Arsenal back 1-1, and then obviously Arsenal just, the quality told. Burnley were never going to go there and obviously get 3 points. So formality win there for Arsenal. On to Crystal Palace versus Everton. That was from Selhurst Park. I actually had Palace to win this game. So I'm actually quite shocked that Everton went there and actually did a number on them there. It looks like Everton did a really, really good job on them as well. Crystal Palace are one of those teams that will sort of come into form after 5 games and then be out of form for 5 games. That's kind of how their season's going. Everton, obviously, since that point, have since been docked 10 points, which is mad to me considering Chelsea and Manchester City are literally out here in plain sight with their fraudulence as well. But Premier League have thought, yeah, let's stick it on Everton to try and show a bit of authority. No one's really buying it, to be quite honest. And it's a bit harsh on Everton, to be fair, who now currently sit in the bottom 3. But I think Everton have enough about themselves to get out of it, to be quite honest with you. They are picking up a few points, and I do see them winning their game this weekend at Goodison. On to the Vitality Stadium. That is Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 0. Probably the shock of the weekend. Is it as shocking though? Newcastle with a lot of players out. There's a lot of injuries there at the moment. Bournemouth at home under the lights. Any game that's at home under the lights, expect the home team to turn up. It always does something to the players. Fans are more up for it. It's one of those elements that you look out for in a football game. Newcastle well beaten. There isn't really much else you can really say about it. Dominic Solanke on the score sheet twice. From what I saw of it, it looked like a pretty decent game for Bournemouth. They didn't actually look overawed in any way, shape or form, and Newcastle literally had no answer for them. Obviously, Eddie Howe going back to his old club. They have come back to haunt him. 3 points for Bournemouth there, a valuable 3 points, and I believe that's their second win of the season. Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1. That was from Villa Park. Again, another formality win for Villa, who seem to be making Villa Park a fortress at the moment. I don't think they've been beaten there now since, what are we talking, last season? And I couldn't even tell you about who, to be quite honest with you. It's been a long time, I know that. I think they are, 15 unbeaten at home, some weird stat like that. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, if I'm being really honest. Away from home, they are a little bit sceptical, which is obviously more hope for me than anything else. But good 3 points for Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet again. Palhinha got a yellow card in that game as well, and that was part of the boost, 50-1. Last week when it was Ollie Watkins and Haaland to score, I believe it was. And then we had Palhinha and Caicedo both to have 2 tackles and both to hit a yellow card. All of that hit last week, 2 weeks ago. I think I was all the way up in Yorkshire when that happened. I completely forgot about it, so I didn't place anything on that. But a really good bet. I'll be keeping an eye out for those this weekend as well. Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1. A little bit of a shock, that one. Or is it? I say that because Brighton have been doing it now every single week after they play the Europa League game. Players literally just look out of it. They look tired. Squad obviously not big enough. A lot of injuries at the moment as well. A good point for Sheffield United, especially after the 3 points they'd received the week before. So they're picking up really, really good results at the moment. It's looking pretty tight down there at the moment as well, all things considered. But I think Brighton will be back in the saddle this weekend. I think they're at Nottingham Forest, and I'll give you my prediction on that a bit later. West Ham 3, Nottingham Forest 2. That was live from the London Stadium. West Ham coming back to winning ways, but we know their form is very, very, very patchy at the moment. Nottingham Forest were unlucky to not come out there with a draw from what I saw, stats-wise again. But putting the ball in the back of the net isn't something that West Ham are shy to do. They do score pretty much all the time, so you're always guaranteed to get goals with them involved. And they scored a good batch of them in the first half, I've noticed. Not so much of them in the second. That's probably the reason why their form is a little bit like that. But a good 3 points for them. They are trying to make London Stadium a bit of a fortress. But I just feel like West Ham need to do more, especially with the squad they've got there at the moment. I know they too are in Europe and competing, but there's going to come a time when it's going to become a blowout, and then most of the players are going to be really, really tired, and they're not going to be performing to the best of their abilities, which is fine again for me, to be honest. Liverpool 3, Brentford 0. That was from Anfield. Formality win now. I did call Liverpool to win that quite easily, and so they have done so. Liverpool starting to find their form again. It's formidable. They've got a brand new midfield, which helps out the defence considerably. And obviously one of the best attacking sort of quartets around, if you like, in the league. And they're gelling at the moment. I do see them coming up against a roadblock this weekend, which I'll go into, of course. Liverpool are involved in the biggest game this weekend, obviously, which we'll get into in a little bit. Speaking of big games, that was the game I was talking about last week. Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4. Madness game, from what I read. I didn't watch it. Again, I was in Yorkshire at the time, so didn't get to see any of this. Crazy game from what I see. Raheem Sterling on form as well. Cole Palmer on form. What more do you say? Advert for the Premier League. Chelsea 4, Man City 4. There's nothing more you can really say to that. Great game, it looks like. And Erling Haaland on the score sheet twice. Everything that could have happened in the game happened. There were yellow cards. There was incidences, there were penalties, not so many controversial decisions, I don't think, but for the neutral, that is a great game. If you're fans of those clubs, it must have been heart racing for you guys. That's the best way I can put it, to be quite honest. But probably one of the best games of the season at the moment from what I have seen. That's the roundup of game week 12. On to game week 13, which obviously starts tomorrow morning. We are at the Etihad. That is Manchester City versus Liverpool. I am going with a 2-1 Manchester City win. Liverpool do not go to Manchester City and win. And I see that trend continuing, especially after international break. Everything's going to be broken down. No one's going to be in full flow. So you've got to go with the home advantage of this one. And I will go with a Man City 2-1 win on here. Sheffield United versus Bournemouth United. That is live from Bramall Lane. That will be a Sheffield United win, I believe. I'm going to go with 1-0. Nottingham Forest versus Brighton from the City Ground. I'll probably go with a 1-1 draw there. No Europe though for Brighton, so Brighton could get it together, but Nottingham Forest haven't lost. I think they've got the second best home record in the league at the minute, Nottingham Forest. So that won't be easy for Brighton. I'll go with a 1-1 draw there. I'll play safe on that one. Burnley versus West Ham from Turf Moor. Battle of the Clarets and Blues. That'll be West Ham just edging this for me. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win, West Ham. Luton Town host Crystal Palace from Kenilworth Road. Another tough one, this one. I'm going to go with a draw, I think. 1-1 here. And I saw something, Andros Townsend to score against Crystal Palace was like 8-1 or something, which might be really, really good odds for you betting people out there. 1-1 for me, though, Luton versus Crystal Palace from Kenilworth Road. Newcastle versus Chelsea is not a 5 o'clock kickoff. This is a mad, mad game for me to not be seen on TV. Newcastle host Chelsea at St. James's Park. Newcastle, I can't look beyond you, Newcastle. At home, I will go with a Newcastle 2-0 win over Chelsea. Chelsea do like to concede. And Newcastle do score goals for fun at home. I'm gonna go, Newcastle win 2-0 for me there. The late night kickoff is Brentford versus Arsenal. So this one always throws up a nice cracker, and there's also always goals in this game, always. Brentford v Arsenal at the G-Tech Stadium is currently 1 apiece. I expect Arsenal to go there and win. I just know it won't be easy, and Brentford are one of those teams that will score in front of their fan. Yeah, do you know what? I will go with a bold 2-2 all. I'm going to go 2-2 all. 2-2 draw there. Yeah, they won't be able to pick a winner on this one. We'll go 2-2 Brentford Arsenal. Tottenham versus Aston Villa is on Sunday. Super Sunday it looks like, actually. Again, one of those Spurs Villa, always goals in it. Always goals at Tottenham. Aston Villa have been very good there lately, actually. Ollie Watkins likes to score against Spurs. It's got all the ingredients of an Aston Villa win because Tottenham have a lot of injuries, as I said before. A lot of suspensions. Romero out, Van de Ven out, Basuma out, Sarr could be out, Phillips out, Maddison out, Richarlison out. It's horrible. It's horrible. Can't back. 2-2. 2-2 draw. I'll go over 2-2 draw. We are at home. We will go for it. We will score. But so will Aston Villa. I'll go over 2-2 draw. Yeah, we'll play safe on that one. That game could literally be anything, to be honest. Two attacking teams with very, very high lines, so it should be very interesting. Everton versus Man United from Goodison Park. I've just read today Varane is not on talking terms at the moment with Eric Ten Hag. It's got to be detrimental to the team, surely. Going up against a team like Everton with so much riding on them at the moment now, with that point deduction, they will have a point to prove. I see Everton running out 2-0 winners there at Goodison on Sunday at 4:30. Everton to beat United 2-0. And in Monday Night Football, we are at Craven Cottage with Fulham versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Again, and one of those games where nothing could happen, but Wolverhampton do look good. Based on the fact of what I saw Sarabia do last week against us, I see Wolverhampton turning Fulham over here. I'll go over 1-0 win Wolverhampton there. So that's my roundup this week. Next weekend, there are no early kickoffs, just so you are aware. The first games will be at 3 o'clock, of course, and that will be Saturday the 2nd of December, game week 14. What's the biggest game on the weekend then? Oh, Manchester City versus Spurs. Oh, happy days. And that is on Super Sunday of next week. But until then, try and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the football, of course. And we'll talk soon. In a bit, people. In a bit.